Have you ever noticed that the moment you finally stop chasing a man, he suddenly starts chasing you? It almost feels like magic, but it's not magic, it's psychology. Welcome to the truth. Most women were never taught. Men don't fall for the women who give everything away. They fall deeply for the women who know when to walk away. Now here's the twist. It's not about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's about powerful self-respect and how that ignites a reaction deep inside the masculine psyche that he can't explain and can't ignore. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why men often feel the strongest emotions not when you're there loving them fully, but when you leave. And why the moment you pull your energy back, that's when his obsession begins. We're diving into the science of male bonding, emotional triggers, and why walking away is often the boldest, most irresistible move a woman can make. So if you've ever asked yourself, why did he come back when I stopped texting? Why does he seem more interested when I pull away? Why do men only realize what they had once it's gone? Then you're exactly where you need to be. By the end of this video, you won't just understand male behavior, you'll know how to command it without chasing or begging for love. Let's begin. Detachment is often misunderstood. People hear the word and assume it means coldness, emotional withdrawal, or even punishment. But true detachment isn't about shutting down, it's about reclaiming your emotional power. When a woman detaches, she stops trying to control how someone else feels about her. She releases the outcome. She stops trying to fix, to prove, to chase. And that shift, that quiet confidence, it sends a powerful message. I am no longer emotionally dependent on your validation. And that's when everything changes. You see, men are wired to pursue, from biology to behavior. They are built to desire what feels slightly out of reach, but still worth the effort. When you detach emotionally, you stop feeding the dynamic that puts you in the position of always trying harder. Instead, you become the woman who knows her value and won't negotiate it for temporary attention. Men don't consciously say, I want a woman who pulls back, but subconsciously, they're drawn to it. Because detachment speaks volumes. It says, I'm whole with or without you. And ironically, that's what makes a man want to be part of your world even more. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care more about yourself, your peace, and your standards than about someone else's indecision. That energy, the energy of emotional independence, is magnetic. Because here's the truth. The moment you become emotionally attached to how someone sees you, you give away your power. You become reactive instead of receptive. You seek instead of attract. And love that's built on seeking rarely lasts. It burns out because it's rooted in fear. But when you detach, you allow a man the space to step up. You create the contrast that shows him what life feels like without your warmth, your presence, your energy. And only then does he realize what he stands to lose. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you are hard to forget. And that's the quiet strength of a woman who chooses herself first. When you walk away from a man, truly walk away, not to provoke a reaction, but because you've outgrown begging for bare minimum, it creates a ripple effect in his mind that most women never get to see. At first, he might not react. He might even act unaffected. But that silence, that space you've created by stepping back, it starts working on him slowly, then all at once. Because men often don't process loss the way women do. Women feel it immediately. They grieve, they reflect, they heal. Men, they often delay the emotional response. It hits them in waves, usually after the woman is long gone. Walking away removes your energy from his life. And that's more powerful than any words you could ever say. Your attention, your softness, your emotional availability, all of that disappears. And suddenly he's confronted with a reality where your love isn't guaranteed anymore. He starts to feel the absence. The silence becomes loud, and instead of feeling pursued, he now feels the loss of something real. Your emotional exit creates space for reflection, and that space is where desire starts to grow. He may begin replaying old conversations in his mind, wondering if he misread your kindness, questioning his choices. And ironically, the very things he may have taken for granted before, your patience, your presence, your warmth, become the things he now longs for. And if he truly cared, if there was any depth of emotion at all, Your decision to walk away doesn't just disturb him, it shakes him. It reminds him that love is a privilege, not a guarantee. But here's the most important part. When you walk away, do it with peace. Not anger, not resentment, not drama. That calm, grounded detachment speaks louder than yelling ever could. It tells him you're no longer available for confusion. Emotional independence isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. It's one of the most powerful traits a woman can embody, and yet it's often misunderstood in dating and relationships. You've been told that being loving means being available 24/7, that caring means constantly proving your worth. But let's be clear, neediness is not love. Emotional independence means you have your own inner world, your own sense of peace, your own rhythm, and no one else has the power to shake that. When a man meets a woman who is emotionally independent, he feels it instantly. She doesn't ask for reassurance every hour. She doesn't wait by the phone. She's not measuring her value by how much she shows up because she's already shown up for herself. And that kind of woman, she stands out in a world full of insecurity and attachment. Not because she's cold or aloof, but because she's grounded. She knows she's the prize and she doesn't need to over-explain it. Her energy says it all. Men are naturally drawn to women who don't need them, but still choose them. That difference is massive. A woman who needs nothing but still offers love. That love feels pure, not pressured. It's rooted in strength, not survival. When you're emotionally independent, you stop reacting out of fear. You stop chasing validation. You stop making someone else the center of your emotional world. And that allows a man to see you with clarity. He's no longer distracted by emotional chaos. He sees the calm, the confidence, the self-possession. And that is rare. You don't have to play hard to get. You are hard to reach, not because you're playing games, but because you're busy living a full life. You have purpose, passions, peace, and no man becomes your oxygen. And when a man sees that you don't need him to be happy, something flips inside him. He wants to earn a place in your world. Not because you're desperate, but because you're whole. Emotional independence tells the world, I choose love, I don't chase it. And that more than anything makes a woman unforgettable. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is confusing obsession with respect. They might look similar on the surface, constant texts, sudden interest, emotional intensity, but they come from very different places. Obsession is rooted in fear. It's reactive. It's often triggered by the absence of something, not the presence of real connection. When a man becomes obsessed after you pull away, it's not always because he respects you. Sometimes it's because he's no longer in control. His ego is bruised. He's no longer being fed by your energy, and the withdrawal creates panic, not admiration. Respect, on the other hand, runs deeper. Respect comes from watching how you carry yourself before you leave. It's built on how you handle conflict, how you set boundaries, how you choose yourself without tearing him down. Respect doesn't panic when you walk away, it reflects, and in that reflection it realizes your worth. When a man respects you, he doesn't just miss you, he honors what you brought into his life. He sees your absence not as a challenge to conquer, but as a consequence of his choices. That's the difference. Obsession wants you back to regain control. Respect wants you back because it values your presence. Here's how you know the difference. Obsession rushes in with promises. Respect takes its time and delivers change. Obsession feels chaotic. Respect feels calm and grounded. Obsession is fueled by fear of loss. Respect is driven by the recognition of value. A man can chase you for weeks, but that doesn't mean he's grown. Real growth is when he comes back not with empty apologies, but with evidence. Changed behavior, clear intentions, a willingness to match your energy, not drain it. And as a woman who knows her worth, you must be able to tell the difference, because obsession can be flattering in the moment, but it fades. Respect, that lasts. That's what builds real trust, real love, and real partnership. So when he comes back, and chances are he will, ask yourself, is he obsessed with winning you back? Or does he truly respect what he lost? The answer will tell you everything. There's a specific moment that happens after you walk away. A shift. It might not come right away, but when it does, it's hard to miss. The texts suddenly start coming in. He watches your stories again. He brings up random memories. He's curious, he's present, he's chasing, but what's really happening beneath the surface? When you detach and reclaim your energy, you disrupt the cycle. You break the pattern he was comfortable in. Most men don't expect you to actually leave. They expect resistance, drama, or emotional pleading. When none of that happens, when instead you choose silence, peace, and self-respect, it creates discomfort. Not because you're punishing him, but because you've taken away the emotional supply he was used to. And that discomfort, it often pushes a man into action. He starts to chase, not always because he's had a change of heart, but because he wants the feeling of you back. He wants to feel desired again, important, in control. And this is where your power lies, not in whether he comes back, but in how you respond when he does. A man chasing you again is not proof that he's changed. It's proof that he's noticed your absence. That's it. Don't confuse pursuit with progress. Anyone can miss you when you're gone. Missing someone is easy, but choosing to grow, communicate, and meet your standards consistently, that's rare. What's even more powerful is when you stay centered during his pursuit. You don't rush to reply. You don't let the breadcrumbs distract you. You observe. You watch what he's actually offering, not just what he's saying. Because a man who truly values you won't just chase for the thrill. He'll take accountability. He'll bring clarity, not confusion. He'll show that he's capable of being with a woman who knows herself and doesn't shrink to keep a man close. This is also when many women make a critical mistake. They confuse the chase with love and fall right back into the same cycle. But the real test isn't if he comes back, it's if you've changed enough not to accept the version of him that once disappointed you. So yes, he may start chasing again. He may even say all the right things. But ask yourself, is he chasing because he finally sees your value, or because he can no longer feed off your attention? Is he showing consistency, or just reacting to the silence? Men often return, but that doesn't mean you have to reopen the door. Sometimes his return is just a reflection of your growth, not a reason to pause it. Let him chase, but let your standards stay high, because you've already proven the most powerful point. You were never afraid to walk away. Let's get one thing straight. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks. You decide who gets access, how far they get to go, and when they need to leave. And when it comes to relationships, boundaries are not just healthy, they're desirable. Here's why. Boundaries create structure. They tell a man, this is how I expect to be treated. This is the standard. If you want to be here, rise to it. And that clarity, that self-possession, it makes a woman incredibly attractive. Because when a man sees that you're willing to walk away, rather than tolerate less than you deserve, he realizes he can't just slide by on charm or chemistry. And that's where desire is born. Not just physical desire, but respectful, intentional desire. A man begins to feel that being with you isn't something he's entitled to. It's something he has to earn. Most people think desire is built through constant closeness, never saying no, always being available. But the truth, that often leads to being taken for granted. Because what's always available starts to lose its impact. Boundaries create space, and space builds anticipation, mystery, and reflection. When you say, I don't accept disrespect or I need time to process before continuing this conversation, you're not being cold. You're showing emotional maturity, and that sets you apart from anyone he's ever casually dated. A man may not always say it out loud, but he will feel it. Being with a woman who has boundaries is being with someone he can't manipulate. And for the right man, that's not intimidating. It's inspiring. It draws him in deeper. It makes him want to understand you more. Because he knows your affection isn't random. It's earned through alignment, not pressure. Boundaries also protect your energy. And when your energy is protected, your femininity flows more freely. You're not drained, resentful, or anxious. You feel safe within yourself. And when a woman feels safe inside her own choices, she radiates confidence, the most attractive energy on earth. It's not about being rigid, it's about being clear. If a man crosses a line and you let it slide to keep the peace, he learns your boundary was a suggestion, not a standard. And once he learns that, desire starts to fade, because there's no longer a challenge. no longer a dynamic that calls him to be better. But when you hold the line, not through anger, but through self-respect, you shift the entire relationship dynamic. You no longer need to beg for love. You become the standard for how love should look, feel, and behave. And that right there is how boundaries don't just protect desire, they create it. There's something almost indescribable about certain women. You've seen it. You may be her. She walks into a room and doesn't have to say a word. People notice her. Men feel her presence. There's no loud performance, no desperate need for attention, just something subtle, magnetic, and deeply feminine. That's the female aura. And it's not about looks. It's not about dressing a certain way or following a script. It's about energy. It's the quiet confidence that comes from a woman who's deeply connected to herself. A woman who is soft, but not weak, kind, but not naive, emotionally open, but never unguarded. Men are drawn to this aura because it's rare. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It invites. It creates curiosity. It makes him wonder, who is she really? Not because she's hiding, but because she's whole. Her energy says, I don't need you to complete me, but I welcome you if you can meet me. This kind of energy cannot be faked. It's built over time by knowing your worth, honoring your boundaries, and refusing to shrink yourself to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. The aura forms when you start living for yourself, not in rebellion, but in alignment. It's in the way you speak with intention, not urgency. It's in the way you carry yourself with grace, not fear. It's in how you choose silence over explaining, space over chasing, self-respect over performance. The female aura that draws him in doesn't try to prove anything. It doesn't overgive to earn love. It radiates self-trust. And when a man feels that, it creates a sense of emotional gravity. He wants to be around her, not because she's trying to make him, but because he feels something in her presence that calms his chaos. You become the safe place he didn't realize he was searching for, not because you absorbed his pain, but because your energy reminds him of peace, of truth, of something deeper than just attraction. And let's be honest, a lot of men chase intensity, but when they meet a woman with true feminine magnetism, they feel depth, they feel mystery without manipulation, warmth without pressure, presence without neediness, and suddenly all the shallow attention they used to crave, it fades, because now they've felt something real. That's the difference between being liked and being remembered. So if you've ever wondered what makes a man feel truly connected, not just physically, but emotionally, it's this: your aura, your emotional self-respect, and your ability to be fully in your feminine power without trying to impress anyone. You don't have to force anything. You are the thing. A high-value woman doesn't just enter a man's life. She shifts the entire dynamic. She doesn't demand respect. She commands it through her presence, her decisions, and the way she moves through the world. She doesn't need to yell to be heard, and she doesn't need to chase to be chosen. Her energy is undeniable because it's rooted in something deeper than approval. It's rooted in identity. What truly makes her high value isn't status, money, or even beauty. It's the way she values herself, and how consistently she upholds that value, no matter who's watching. When a high-value woman connects with a man, she brings more than emotion. She brings standards. She doesn't settle for potential. She doesn't fall in love with projections. She watches who he is, not just who he says he wants to be. She doesn't get lost in fantasy. She stays grounded in reality, and that changes everything. Because most men are used to emotional availability being given too easily. Attention without effort, forgiveness without change. But when he meets a high-value woman, he realizes this is different. She's not moved by charm. She doesn't respond to pressure. She waits for clarity. She requires alignment. And here's where the dynamic shifts. She puts the responsibility for connection back in his hands. She doesn't try to convince him of her worth. She lets him feel it by what she no longer tolerates. She doesn't make herself smaller to make him feel bigger. She rises and invites him to rise with her, or fall behind. This is where desire deepens, not because she plays hard to get, but because she's hard to forget. Her energy lingers in his mind long after she's gone, not because of what she gave, but because of what she didn't give away so easily. Her peace, her power, her emotional access. Men respect what they have to work for, not in a manipulative way, but in a natural one. And a high-value woman knows this. She's not afraid to be misunderstood. She doesn't fear walking away, because she knows her love isn't fast food. It's a full-course meal. And not everyone is ready for the table she sets. And when a man is ready, he levels up. He stops playing. He starts leading. He listens. He shows up, because the standard has been raised. And he doesn't want to lose a woman who doesn't chase, but also doesn't settle. So yes, high-value women shift the dynamic, not by force, but by being the standard. And once a man experiences that shift, he either grows or gets left behind. At the end, the goal isn't just to be loved, it's to be unforgettable. To be the woman who leaves a mark so deep that no matter where life takes you, he carries a piece of you with him. Not because of games or manipulation, but because of the authentic, unshakable power you hold within. Being unforgettable doesn't mean being loud or demanding attention. It means showing up fully as yourself, whole, confident, and unapologetically true to your values. It means loving yourself enough to walk away from anything less than what you deserve, and trusting that what's meant for you will follow. This kind of woman doesn't wait for someone to define her worth. She defines it herself. She understands that her happiness, her peace, and her purpose come first. And when she prioritizes those, the right man doesn't just want her. He respects her. He cherishes her. He fights for her. But becoming that woman takes work. It requires courage to face your fears of loneliness, rejection, or uncertainty. It asks you to break free from patterns that no longer serve you. Old stories about needing to chase love or begging for validation. Instead, you build a new story, one where you are the prize, and love is the bonus. When you carry that energy, something magical happens. Your presence commands respect without demanding it. Your silence speaks louder than any words. Your choices show your strength more clearly than any explanation ever could. Men notice this. They don't always understand it right away, but they feel it, and when they do, they want to be a part of your world. Not because they're trying to control it, but because they want to contribute to it. They want to support your growth, honor your boundaries, and celebrate your independence. Remember, you can't control someone else's feelings, but you can control how you show up. You can choose to be the woman who sets the standard, holds her ground, and loves herself fiercely. And when you do, you don't just attract men, you attract the right men. So be patient with yourself, trust your journey, keep growing, keep loving, and keep standing in your power. Because the woman who can't be forgotten isn't the one who chases the most, it's the one who refuses to settle for anything less than real. In the end, it's not about making him fall deeply, it's about falling deeply in love with yourself first. And when you do, everything else falls into place. Be that woman. Be unforgettable. Be the love you've been waiting for.